Do you remember the first day that you were shot at by a German?
Oh, yes, I do.
Tell us about that.
Well, that's just all it was. See, let me tell you first this. I had three of us in my crew. I was a radio operator, a forward observer, and we had a driver. Three of us in my crew, and most time when we were assigned, we usually were assigned to the infantry. We stayed up with the infantry, and if they needed a fire on a target somewhere for an invasion, I'd run on the radio. I would send back the message, the distance. The forward observer would estimate the distance to our gun to the target, and then I would call in on the radio.
Mm-hmm. What's it like to be shot at?
Well, it happens that quick. You already have time to think about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Tell us how you were wounded.
Okay. Now it's going to take a little bit.
Well, let's hear it. That's what we're here for.
We were sitting on the border of the German and German border in France, and we were called one during the night to go. Was headed to Belgium, for the Battle of the Bulge. But anyway, we traveled all night. We went into Luxembourg, and there is where we bivouacked, and that's where we worked, out of Luxembourg. And Luxembourg is one city and all. And we stayed there, and then on February the 7th and the 8th, we were attached to, I believe it was the 29th Infantry Division, a little town called Echternach, down on the Sewer River. And the river was up. It wasn't a big river, but it was full of water. And so we were scheduled to go off with that on next morning, the 7th of February, 1945. And we were taxed to the 29th, and we were going to have to go across the little river, and engineer brought us assault boats.
He brought you what?
Assault boats.
Okay.
And so we were attached to the 29th Infantry, and we had to push off. And they went down that morning real early to go across the little river. When we got down there, they missed the landing where the boats were, and so they didn't. And we were, my crew, three of us, we were down on the edge of the river, and there was a German emplacement machine gun right across the river, and they saw us over there, knew we were over there, rather it was dark, and they started firing at us. And so they said, I said, well, we better get out of here, because they're going to hit us if we stay here. So we went back to the building, then decided to go the next morning to go across, to make the assault across the river. Now, here's the thing. When we crossed that little Sewer River, we were in German territory. Well, that's where they were over there, where we were going, but that's what. So we got up early the next morning, and we went down for the assault boats were, and 6 to a boat, and we 3 was on our boat, and we managed. The river was so swift, but we managed to cross finally with some prayer. We crossed over to the other side.
Walking through the water?
We got across, and some of the boys, the whole boats were hit. The German knew we were coming across there. and they threw everything they had on us. And then we got across on the other side, 3 of us, our outfit. We started across the hill. And so the Germans knew we were going, it was still dark. They knew we were going across. They started firing on us. And so we had to kind of move and separate. And I got separated from my officer, Lieutenant George Buck, and my driver, Charles Shea. And I got separated from them, and I was on my own. And when I went across a little patch of woods, across a creek like, and I was in a patch of something like pines or cedar or whatever. And then I was there, and I decided that I was going to have to get out of there. It was getting early the next morning. And I moved from where I was up, I don't know, it's probably 9 or 10 o'clock, whenever, and I got up the edge of those woods. But those Germans were pretty accurate with their weapons. And so I got up there, and while I was sitting there, that German over saw me somewhere, or they saw me sitting there. But I don't know where. I didn't see them, but they saw me, and they threw mortar shells in on me. And that's when I was hit. The first round hit me, and then I decided I'd better get out of there. And so I started running. I didn't know exactly where our outfit was, and I ran across up a hill and got to the top. I saw helmets up there, but I thought it was German helmets. But first, then I could tell it was our boys' helmet, and I hollered and told them how it was that I ought to come on up. And I asked them where my outfit, Shay and Buck, was, and they said they're right back here, and they're digging a foxhole. And so that's when I got after that. Later, and when I went back to the outfit, of course, I got infected from that shrapnel wound in my hip.
Where was the shrapnel wound at?
It was in my hip. It's still there.
Is it?
Yeah. They said about taking it out, but the surgeon told me, said, no, I wouldn't touch that for nothing. It's embedded, so I'm just going to leave it. So it's there.
So it's a constant reminder
Yes.
of that day in February.
Yeah, I feel it. Rheumatism.